never believed that numbers could be hungry. That's a stupid thing to believe. Numbers are abstractions. They don't have mouths. They don't have stomachs. They don't sit in the dark corners of your apartment and watch you while you sleep. That's what I told myself the first time I saw 67. I was wrong about all of it. The number found me through a door, not a physical door, a door in a game, an old video game I bought at a garage sale for $3. The cartridge was yellowed, the label worn down to a smudge, and the name had long since faded. But the price was right, and I had a retro console in my basement that I hadn't touched in years. I plugged it in, the screen flickered, and a door appeared. It was a simple pixel door, brown, square, a single brass knob, and above the door, in blocky 8-bit letters, the number 67, no text, just a door and a number. I pressed A to open it, nothing, B nothing, start, select. The door didn't budge. I tried every button on the controller, then gave up and turned off the console. That night, I dreamed of the door. It was real now. Wood, brass. The paint was chipped and the number 67 was carved into the frame with a knife. I stood in front of it for a long time. The door was in my bedroom, right where my closet should have been. I reached for the knob. My hand went through it, like mist, like a reflection. I woke up with my arms stretched toward the closet, fingers brushing the cold wood of the door that was still there. The real door, the one that had always been there. But the closet door was warm. I'd never noticed that before. Wood doesn't get warm on its own. I opened the closet. Empty, same shelves, same hangers, same smell of cedar and dust. I closed it, locked it, went back to bed. The next morning, my keys were gone. Not lost, gone. I searched the entire apartment. Couch cushions, laundry basket, refrigerator, nothing. I had to call a locksmith to let me into my own car. The locksmith charged me $67. I paid with a credit card. The receipt printed out. Total, 67. I stared at it. Coincidence, I told myself. The universe is full of coincidences. That afternoon, I found my keys. They were on the kitchen counter, right next to the fruit bowl, exactly where I'd left them, except I hadn't left them there. I'd checked the kitchen counter 3 times. My roommate had been at work all day. No one else had been in the apartment. The keys were just there, and attached to the key ring was a small brass key I'd never seen before, old, tarnished. On the bow of the key, stamped into the metal, the number 67. I tried to throw the key away. I dropped it in the trash. It was back on the counter within the hour. I flushed it down the toilet. It was on my nightstand when I woke up. I put it in a coffee can, filled the can with cement, and left it in a dumpster 3 miles from my apartment. That night, I found it under my pillow. The cement was still wet. The key was clean. I started to understand. The key wasn't a thing. It was a summons, and I had until 67 to answer. I didn't know what that meant at first. 67 what? Days, hours, heartbeats? I started counting everything. Steps to the bus stop, sips of coffee, blinks. The number 67 appeared everywhere. Page 67 of every book I opened. The 67th car in a parking lot. A text from my mother at 6:07 p.m. But 67 isn't 67, except it was. The digits were there. 6 and 7. Always watching. On the 7th day, I heard the scratching. It came from inside the walls. Not mice. Something larger. Something with fingernails. The scratching would start at precisely 6:07 p.m. and last for 67 seconds. Then silence. Then a whisper. I could never make out the words, just the shape of them. A shape that sounded like my name followed by a number. I put my ear to the wall. The scratching stopped. Something on the other side pressed against the drywall. A hand. I saw the impression of fingers, 5 fingers, but the thumb was on the wrong side. The hand was backward, palm facing me, but the thumb pointed right instead of left. A left hand, except it wasn't. It was a right hand that had been reversed, like a reflection. I backed away from the wall. The hand retreated. The scratching resumed. I called my roommate. He was still at work. I called my mother. She said I sounded tired. I called a priest. He said he didn't do house calls for scratching noises. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on my bed with the lights on, watching the closet door, the one that had been warm, the one I'd locked. At 2:17 a.m., The lock clicked open by itself. The door swung inward. The closet was empty, but the back wall wasn't there anymore. Instead, there was a hallway, narrow, dim. The walls were covered in the same wood paneling as the closet, but the paneling was wet, dripping, not water. Something thicker. At the end of the hallway, a door. The door from my dream. Brown, square, brass knob, and the number 67 carved deep into the frame. I got out of bed. I didn't want to. My legs moved on their own. I walked to the closet, stepped through the doorway into the hallway. The floor was cold, bare concrete. My bare feet left prints in something that glistened. I didn't look down. I walked to the door. The knob was warm, alive. I could feel a pulse through the brass. 67 beats per minute, the same as my heart, the same as the clock on the wall behind me, which was ticking in reverse. I turned the knob. The door opened into a room. Small, square, no windows. The walls were covered in photographs. Hundreds of them. Thousands. All of me. Me as a baby. Me as a child. Me at my high school graduation. Me at work. Me sleeping. And in every photograph, I was facing the camera. But my eyes were closed, every single one. Closed eyes. Peaceful. Asleep. In the center of the room, a table. On the table, a book. Leather bound. The cover had the number 67 stamped in gold. I opened the book. The pages were filled with handwriting. My handwriting. Every entry was dated. The first entry was from the day I was born. The last entry was from today. But I'd never written in this book. I'd never seen it before. I flipped to the last page. Today's date. The entry read, I will open the door at 6:07 a.m. I will walk through the hallway. I will enter the room. And then I will count to 67. On 67, I will close my eyes. I will not open them again. I dropped the book. The photographs on the walls rustled. The people in them opened their eyes, all at once. Dozens of me, hundreds, all staring, all with the same expression. Surprise. The same surprise I'd seen on my aunt's face. The same surprise I'd seen in the mirror that morning, without understanding why. I ran. Back through the door, down the hallway, through the closet, into my bedroom. I slammed the closet door, locked it, pushed my dresser in front of it. The scratching started immediately, louder now, desperate. And beneath the scratching, a voice. My voice. 67, it said. You have 67 seconds before I open the door from my side. You've been counting the wrong thing. It's not days. It's not hours. It's the number of times you've opened the door, the game, the dream, the closet, the keys. Every time you opened a door. This is the 67th. And on the 67th, the door opens both ways. I looked at my clock. 6:06 a.m. 1 minute until 6:07. I ran to the front door of my apartment. I opened it. The hallway outside was normal. Carpet, neighbor's door, exit sign. I stepped out and pulled the door closed behind me. The lock clicked. I leaned against the wall and slid down to the floor. The scratching stopped. The voice stopped. The clock in my apartment must have hit 67, but I didn't hear it. I sat in the hallway for an hour. Then I went to a hotel. I've been in hotels for 3 weeks. I don't go home. I don't go near closets. I don't play old video games. But the key is still in my pocket. I can feel it. Warm. Pulsing. And every time I close my eyes, I see the door. Brown square, brass knob. The number 67 carved into the frame. And I know that the next time I open my eyes, I won't be in the hotel. I'll be back in that room. And all the mez will be waiting. They'll have their eyes open. And they'll be hungry. My apartment, the door. The hotel door. The bathroom door. The elevator door. Every door is a possibility. Every door is a risk. Because the thing behind the number 67 isn't in my closet anymore. It's in every door, every threshold. Every time you step from one room to another, you pass through a space that doesn't exist. A gap. And in that gap, there are 67 photographs. And in those photographs, your eyes are closed. But they won't be for long. Check your doors. The one you came through. The one you're about to go through. Are you sure it's the same on both sides? Are you sure the number 67 isn't carved into the frame, just out of sight? Don't turn around. Don't look at the closet. Don't count to 67, because I'm still counting. And every time I say a number, a door opens somewhere. A door that should have stayed closed. 6, 7, one more, and I'm through. and I'll be looking for a new room, a new photograph, a new set of closed eyes, maybe yours.